Hello and welcome to Miles Ahead. I'm Miles.
I'm Bradley.
And today we're going to be talking about Supergirl. So Supergirl is the second film, I should say, not entry, into the DCU. It's based on the Woman of Tomorrow miniseries written by Tom King. As you can see, it's in front of us. And I guess let's talk. So obviously, I think we need to talk about that. Box office wise, this film hasn't done very well. I think it's made 38 million or something like that on its opening weekend. And it's one of the lowest for a superhero movie. And I think we'll just overall talk about the story, some of the differences made from the book, some of it we didn't, I guess the future as well, because obviously that's, depending on how you see it, quite a big deal. And so I guess let's talk roughly about, I guess, a bit of the story and some of the performances. So obviously the book, so the story is very similar to the book, so sort of Supergirl helps a young girl get revenge for a murder. In the book it's her father, in the film it's her family, so I guess minor spoilers, some spoilers in this video. Alright, so this, I guess, I think overall the film's okay. Let's just put it that way. It's fine. I don't think it's bad. It's definitely not the worst DC film ever. It's definitely not the best.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are definitely some things that worked, and there are definitely things that didn't work. And I mean, it wasn't on par with Superman. Let's put it that way. It wasn't the best film. Following that, I think if they followed it up with a different film, like a different superhero, I think it would have done much better.
That depends on the superhero.
Well, yeah, but I think even if it was Superman Man of Tomorrow, which is the next Superman, I think that would have done better than this, and then maybe in that you could have had more of Supergirl and then alluded to something to come. I just think, this is a new vision, and to follow up, on that new vision with Supergirl, I don't think it worked.
I don't know if it's as saying you shouldn't have followed up with Supergirl. I understand to an extent, because obviously some people weren't too keen on Supergirl's small appearance in Superman. And I think that obviously hindered it a little bit. And obviously this summer there's Toy Story 5, which we've recently done a review of.
Yeah.
Making records. And obviously we've got Minions just came out, which is probably going to do fairly decently.
Yeah.
For a Minions film. I don't know why I'm laughing. And we've got, Spider-Man at the end of the month. So, that's going to definitely beat it, even if it didn't have any competition before then.
Yeah, I mean, I think this film will become quickly overshadowed by other films.
Which I think this is the sort of the problems, because obviously if we look at a real life issue, cinemas, ticket prices have gone up. I mean, everything to an extent has gone up. You can't really argue that. And I think people are very selective of what they want to see. So it's obviously seeing a very mid-tier or medium superhero film, people don't really want to see that anymore. It's not like the early days of the MCU, some people have compared it to, where most of the earlier films, like the first Thor, Captain America, they're okay.
Yeah.
They're not as good as some of the sequels they want to do. But, they're okay for what they are. And I think this is sort of that stage in the issue, but it can't really have that at this point. Because obviously Marvel recently has been a bit hit and miss. Obviously we had stuff like The Thunderbolts, which was quite a good film. it flopped. Fantastic Four did well, but I think it didn't do as well as it could have done. Oh yeah, Captain America 4, I don't think did that well as well. Obviously we've got Spider-Man, which is probably going to do quite well, but Spider-Man movies, I think,
Yeah.
are quite different, because obviously he's the most well-known Marvel character. He's going to do quite well.
Yeah, and I mean, to an extent, she's still one of the main sort of superheroes within the Marvel sphere. That's sort of still exists to have the main sort of movie. I mean, obviously, I mean, you have the Hulk, but he hadn't had the movie since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It's strange that Mark Ruffalo hasn't actually done a movie.
So you're about to say Mark Russell.
Ruffalo.
Well, I think it's more of a, not to talk too much boring, but it's more of a legal stuff between Marvel and Universal.
Probably.
Which is why they don't really want to make a film, and they've done what they've done with the characters so far.
I mean, arguably you have that with Spider-Man, but let's go
Well,
back to
that's a
Supergirl.
shared deal, though.
Let's go back to Supergirl.
Yeah. I think, let's go performances. I think Milly Alcock, I think she does quite well in the terms of the portrayal of Kara in this film. I think
it's my favourite portrayal of Supergirl, Kara Zor-El. I didn't really like the Flash version.
Melissa Benoist,
Yeah.
CW version.
Yeah, and I didn't like the CW version. So, for me...
Oh, you meant the film The Flash?
Yeah, the film The Flash.
Yeah, Sasha Kaye? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like either of those versions. So, for me, I think it was a very different take on Supergirl.
Yeah.
Because in she's very, I mean, in The Flash she's sort of quite a dark character. And then in the CW series she's quite a light-hearted, sort of too giddy character.
Well, I think the CW, not to compare too much, but it's very much just a Superman, but a female.
Yeah.
Which, and I'm not saying that's not Supergirl, but Supergirl's a bit different to that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think... I do think she did quite well in this. And, I think it's my favourite version. And I think the character development that she sort of goes through is probably one of the best character developments that I've seen for Supergirl in recent times.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about some of the other characters. So we've got Ruthie, who in the book is sort of like the narrator.
Yeah.
So it's sort of her story. And I think, the actress who played was Eve Ridley. I think she does well. I don't know if this is her first acting gig or anything like that, but she does pretty well with what's given to her. I think, for the most part. I think there's certain bits the book does with the character that the film didn't.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of affected the character. I think, the dynamic between each other was done pretty well. But I think, and this is the thing, they could have done some bits more. Because obviously there's certain adaptation changes that they did. There's something like the brigands who are sort of the bad guys in the, well, I don't know why they are the bad guys in this film. It's like they made them sex traffickers in the film, when in the book they're just bandits. I'm not saying they don't deal with that stuff, but it's sort of like, why focus on that? It's a bit of a, is that meant to be a thing for something? I don't know, but
I think
it's such a weird choice to me.
I think with this film there's so many sort of, I mean, obviously there's differences to the book, but I think, that there was definitely law change, right?
Yeah, well, I think we talked a bit about this before, so in the Argo City scenes, or the Krypton destruction, so Kara was born 8 years after that.
Yeah, after Krypton was...
So obviously if you
destroyed,
haven't read the book, sort of Argo City separates itself, and they live by themselves for 8 years or something like that. And the book and most other adaptations of Supergirl, because Supergirl is technically older than Superman.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, the book I think is the same kind of thing. I think she's like 10 or something when that happens. And in this, she's not born yet. And it's a bit like, why did you make that change?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely weird because obviously if you know even a little bit about Supergirl, you know that is sort of the law that she is older, and that Clark or Kal-El was sort of sent to Earth first, and sort of grew up.
Well, some comic books end the same time, and Supergirl gets trapped in the Phantom Zone, which is why she stays a teenager, although she's probably technically like something like 10 years older.
Yeah. So I don't think the law change worked or didn't work in the way that they thought it would work.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a bit of a weird decision. I think, to talk a bit about the script, so Anna Nogueira wrote this, who I believe has been an indie film or short film writer before. So this is like her first, as far as I know, it's her first proper feature. And I think for the most part the story's okay. I think it follows the basic premise of the book. And yeah, obviously they can do everything in the book within however long it was, but it makes some changes that are a bit... I mean, an adaptation does change things from the source material. That's just how it happens.
Yeah.
But it's just like, there's certain bits that could have worked well in film, but they didn't, or they decided to replace it with something else, and it's just like, okay. And there's certain moments, it's like, as I was saying, Krem, the villain, the actor I think does quite a good job, but overall he's a bit of a nothing villain, which to be fair is the same in the book. But, in the film, when Krem kills the fan, because obviously he's with the brigands.
Yeah.
Which in the book, he works with them, but he's not a brigand. But in the film, they made him a brigand, which I guess make it less confusing.
Yeah.
Because obviously he kills the family, Rufy's family, and obviously because they're sex slaves or sex traffickers, why didn't you just take Rufy there? It's like, he saw her there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just walks away. It's like...
I think it was a simple enough plot. But there were just, there were some things, law changes and things like that where it just didn't make sense.
Yeah. I think, to talk a bit about Lobo, I think there's been a lot of complaints about the film looking a bit like Guardians of the Galaxy. I guess if you see the background aliens and stuff, because obviously this is a space story, it's like other planets.
Yeah.
I think one of the planets is called Bilquis, after the artist of the book. And I guess a lot of the background aliens, there's those space pirates.
Yeah.
That they definitely could look like they could be in Guardians of the Galaxy at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that's sort of the James Gunn style. I mean, I know he didn't work on this one, but he would have had some sort of oversight, I'd imagine. But
we'll talk about that a bit later.
Yeah.
There's been a bit of hearsay.
But, I mean, this sort of new DCU it's being spearheaded by James Gunn, and I would have thought that they would want, a similar vibe to, what James Gunn is sort of known for, and Superman, and that sort of style of thing. So I think, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to sort of copy the style and sort of be there within the style. But yeah, I for one didn't mind it. I think that style kind of worked quite quirky, and I think if that's sort of the future of this DCU, then I think, that is the thing that can sort of set it apart from Marvel, for example.
Yeah. Well, I think also sort of thinking about this, if this was sort of a 8-part something HBO Max series, it'd probably done a lot better.
Yeah.
Or at least maybe a bit more well received, maybe not a lot better, but I think it'll give them space to maybe adapt the book a bit more. Maybe not try and brush over everything like it sort of did to an extent. And I think, because obviously I think now is like, as I mentioned, things are getting more expensive. People want to see more stuff they know instead of taking less risks. I know I say that, man, Obsession and Backrooms did quite well, but Backrooms was like an internet craze in like the lockdown period, so people knew roughly what Backrooms was.
Yeah.
And Obsession, I think the story's been done to some degree, but I think it had a little twist on it, and obviously I think the director's like 26. So, you know, there's stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think people are willing to accept risks, but to a degree.
Yeah, I mean,
this is the thing. I think it wasn't marketed the greatest. I think if they marketed it better, maybe more people would have seen it. But
yeah, I mean, let's talk about the marketing a little bit. So, the trailers and the posters and everything sort of very much had the Superman vibe to it. And then, you know, you sit down in the film, meant to be one of the biggest films of the year.
Yeah.
And I mean, in our cinema, there was basically no one there.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's
like.
To
be fair, there was a week after its release when it's.
Oh yeah, but you just still expect there to be some sort of buzz around it. Maybe some people seen it multiple times, but there was no one there, and I don't know if it was maybe just the cinema we went to, but there was no one there, and I can guarantee you that they were probably watching Toy Story, probably.
Probably, yeah. Well, as I said, it's like I mean, it's always been a competition for like
competition
movies.
Yeah.
Obviously, as we said, there's Toy Story 5 making records. Minions is probably going to do quite well. I imagine maybe not Toy Story 5 level, but it'll probably do decently.
Yeah.
As we said, Spider-Man, The Odyssey's coming out at some point this month. So, you know, there's stuff. It's quite difficult. I think Superman was quite big, obviously, but obviously I guess what would you rather see? Toy Story 5 or Supergirl? Something you've loved, has a good thing, and a new sort of, I guess. I mean, obviously people might know the character, but it's a new.
Yeah, I mean,
it's sort of like, and you could say that's more of a movie audience, but the thing is, everything's been expensive for whatever reason, politically, economically, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think people were.
So it's people picky now.
I think with Superman, people were generally excited because, you know, it's been directed by James Gunn, been headed up by James Gunn. You know, he has such a quirky vision. People love Guardians of the Galaxy. Lots of other stuff that he's done as well. You know, people were really sort of excited about it. And I think when they announced Supergirl, I think that sort of the hype was there. And then the marketing and everything was definitely up there. But I think, you know, if you have that level of expectation, you know, then we learned that James Gunn wasn't really going to be, you know, he wasn't going to have any real input in this film.
Yeah, but you keep saying that, but he's one of the co-heads. He's not going to direct every film.
Oh, no, but, like, I think, you know, if you're the new sort of co-head or the new showrunner or whatever, you should at least be involved in at least the first 3 projects that you put out, I think.
Well, I think, and obviously to go back, I think there's been like stories of like creative differences between Gunn and the director Gillespie. Whether that's true or just people making stuff up, I don't know. But it's been like, apparently there were 2 cuts of the film to be test screened. The one that got chosen, I believe, was the DC Studios' uncut. But whether that's Gunn as part of that, I don't know. Or it's just WB being a studio meddling, which they've done before.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think if you've taken over a franchise, I think, you know, to set a precedent, you should at least have, you know, maybe not direct, but be an executive producer on those
Yeah.
projects for at least 3 or 4 projects of the first sort of vision to set the precedent. Then you bring other people in. I think, I don't think it's necessarily a mistake.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because you've got Clayface coming out in September, written by Mike Flanagan, who's done like something like Haunted on the Hill House for Netflix and that kind of series, and that's quite well acclaimed. So obviously and also got Lantern not next month, but yes, it will be next month as the time of recording. Written by not only Tom King, who wrote the book, but it's got Damon Lindelof, who did Lost or co-wrote Lost. That's quite an acclaimed series. He did the Watchmen show, which I think did quite. I mean, I don't know. I think it was divisive, but did quite well. And I think you got the guy who did Ozark for Netflix, which I haven't seen the show, but I've heard was very good. So there's people there. I just think maybe it's just prioritising where they should be best placed, because I think Lanterns will probably do well depending on how it goes. I think since the second trailer, a lot of people have been a bit more open about it. I think the first trailer hid a bit more, so it looked a bit like, oh, it's just going to be another restricted thing. But then the second trailer showed a bit more like, so they've got Sinestro in a space prison and stuff like more of the powers, stuff like that. So, and obviously we don't really know too much about Lantern still, but when it comes out, I guess we'll have to see what happens. I think let's talk more about the future.
Yeah.
It's not just of DC, it's more of Warner Brothers as well, because obviously you've got the Paramount merger that is slowly happening. So there's also that, and I think even though Supergirl hasn't done as well as they hoped it did, I think Clayface will do quite well. And obviously I hope Lanterns does well, but we'll have to see. Obviously, we've got Man of Tomorrow coming out. I think that will probably do decently. And obviously, they've teased the Wonder Woman project, written by the same writer of this. Take that how you will. There's a Batman. Obviously, there's the Batman Part 2, which I know isn't part of this universe, but will probably still do well. But Batman does tend to do well. That's why DC loves him. And I guess Warner Brothers, to an extent, does just as much. So I guess, we'll have to see, really, because I don't think the DCU is going to go anytime soon. Maybe if Man of Tomorrow flops, then we might be a bit of an issue. But I think everything's still up in the air in terms of, and especially with Paramount. What are they going to? A lot of people is predicting that Gunn will go, but I doubt they will do that.
No, Gunn had just literally taken over the DC, so I don't think he's going to go anywhere for at least another 4 or 5 years, even if longer. Especially if they wanted to rival Marvel and what Marvel has done.
Well, there's a whole rumor that Marvel after Secret Wars will reboot.
Possible, but again, I suppose there's a similar question happening there. Is, are you still going to have the Russo brothers at the helm of it, or are you going to have, maybe they'll be there, sort of guide the new people in if there are going to go like that. But I think right now with DC, we have this new era basically. And you've not to criticise it, they were both very good films in their own respect. But, you started with Superman and then you went to Supergirl. Why wouldn't you start with, like, Superman and then introduce, like, maybe you don't want to introduce Batman straight away, but, The Flash or Wonder Woman or, someone else. It just seems a bit weird how James Gunn, or if it wasn't, if this wasn't necessarily James Gunn's vision, it's it's definitely weird how they've gone about doing it. I think. Yeah, I mean, two Superman sort of world sort of films. I mean, Supergirl and Superman, but yeah, they're both effectively just in the same world, and I think that's very interesting how they sort of why they've done that basically.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll have to see what happens next year with, well, I guess this year, the remainder of this year with Clayface coming out, see what that does. And of course, Man of Tomorrow next summer. So I guess it's a bit of a waiting game because obviously DC, it's going to take a while for DC to really get going.
Yeah.
Sadly, I think this has probably been a bit of maybe a wake up call to like sort of what to prioritize and what to really sort of shift to like a series of like Marvel.
Yeah.
When they did their Disney Plus stuff, it was like WandaVision, which then part of that went through to Doctor Strange 2, which I don't think really did well anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and the characters were introduced
and
in
then
the film anyway.
Like Miss Marvel, which part of that went into the Marvels, which I mean, the Marvels was not good for a multitude of reasons, not just because of that. But, you know, it's like stuff like that. And it's just like, I think I'm better now with like sort of Daredevil, it's not a reboot, but a continuation. Obviously, as we've mentioned before, Wonder Man being like, you know, separate, you don't need to see. But the only film you really need to see is Iron Man 3, and even then it's probably like 5 minutes of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not like you need to see everything. And maybe that will change with the upcoming series too. I doubt it, but you know, it's
yeah, I mean,
I think they've learned from sort of that mistake.
Yeah, and I think DC and James Gunn will definitely go on that journey.
Yeah.
And then we'll start to see, you know, because Clayface doesn't need to be a film, or can it be a TV series?
Well, I mean, I think it depends how they're going about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it ultimately depends, but like, yeah, questions like that, you know, the vision of it, because obviously the visions and sort of plans and stuff, how they're going to do it before they actually do it.
Yeah.
So I think they'll definitely go on that journey in the next couple of years to sort of figure out sort of the proper direction and sort of, you know, who are the hard hitters and who aren't the hard hitters.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess it's sadly a waiting game, especially with the upcoming Paramount merger, whenever that actually comes to fruition as well. See what changes will happen.
Yeah.
So it's just annoyingly, it's a waiting game. I mean, obviously, hopefully not. There's no other big flop, but you know, as I said, it's a waiting game. So with that somber note, you've been listening to Miles Ahead, and catch you next time.